Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If this is not your first time, thank you so much for coming. This is Raquel with So Beautiful Me Sports Takes. How is everyone? I hope everyone is great. I am just so excited to be back. So today's video is going to have a special guest. So before we get into that, I want you guys to make sure, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment, of course, and you're welcome to share it, of course, if you like the content. Why wouldn't you? So on today's show, I have a special guest that I had come in, and we did a podcast style show. And the show is basically going to be about Westbrook and why he deserves his flowers now. The man has played incredible. And then we also talked a little bit about our MVP picks and why. So I want you guys to tune in, listen to this video, make sure you like the video, and make sure you guys stick it out. It's a very, very long video, but it was a great thing. I just want to say thank you so much to Wes for coming on, being a part of my show, giving me his input, his very great insight. He's pretty much really, really good with basketball and just in general, very educated, intellectual, thought thinking type of a person. So without further ado, let's get to the show. Ah! So Wes, welcome to So Beautiful Me Sports Takes. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Tell us something about yourself. He really
Um,
don't know a lot of stuff about sports.
wow, wow. When I think of people and I analyze teams and I analyze people, I always try to make things. I try to make life into sports analogies, specifically basketball ones, and I think things like, oh, you're only as good as the weakest member of your team, or I try to analyze people by position and see what they would really do. And you strike me as a glue guy. You would be more of a glue person on the team.
Oh, what?
A glue person, someone who keeps the team together, does all the hustle things, and you're not really in it for the shine, but you're a glue person.
You a lie. If that's not true, Raquel's in it for the shine.
First ballot Hall of Fame.
I want to be first ballot Hall of Fame. I'm not trying to be Draymond. I'm not trying to be the hustler. I want the shine. I want to be able to be like, I did that. It's me, not them. Me. Without me, there ain't no them. No, I'm just
So
playing.
how many assists you averaging?
Oh, I say I pass. I'm Kobe.
-4. -4 assists per game.
So let's get serious here. Thank you for coming on to the show. We're going to talk about some topics. We're going to get actually serious here. And if you guys just don't understand, we're just like cool. So we kind of have a dynamic and you'll be okay with it. So we're going to talk about some things. First topics, I'm going to list them. It's going to be Westbrook and his play right now. Mr. Triple Double average 4 times. Crazy to think about. He's actually averaged that 4 times. We have who is the MVP? Is it CP3? And then we might, and this is a big might because we have a little bit of a difference of opinions. We might talk about the Luka versus Tatum. If he get on my nerves, that whole section getting edited out. So y'all know. And he's going to get on my nerves. So anyways, let's start with Westbrook.
I might surprise you anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, so let's start with Westbrook. Russell Westbrook for the Washington Wizards, the point guard extraordinaire, or the most underappreciated point guard. Just depends on, I think, who you talk to. Put this out here. I am definitely one of those people who are very, 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 very hard on Westbrook. And I wouldn't say I'm a hater because I don't hate on him. I'm just like, you got to do stuff when it matters. I'm always like that with most players. However, Wesley, how do you feel?
So early in Westbrook's career, I was actually pretty hard on him too. I was like, I just didn't like that he, he played like negative assists per game. He had the opportunity to pass a lot of times, and he would overlook things. It just seemed like he was more about Westbrook early on. His first 3 or 4 seasons, it just seemed like he wasn't making the right plays. And as a point guard, it's something that you just really can't afford to do, especially when you're one of the two best players on your team. You got to be able to get other guys involved. And it was frustrating because there were obvious passes that he had that he was like, no, I'm good. The irony though, the irony of Russell Westbrook is that as he grew and as he matured, he actually became an incredible passer and a much better basketball player. And throughout that evolution, ironically, sports media fish, which is just it's asinine. It goes to show you, like, you know, these old white dudes can push any narrative they want. Like they can create any narrative when a guy is averaging a triple double throughout a season, and somehow that makes him selfish. I'm lost.
I mean, I feel like I fell into that because and that is so. I never thought about it until you just said that right now, because I was like, yeah, he is a selfish player. But the reason for me saying he's selfish is sometimes I felt like if he averages those, triple doubles, which we kind of look at that like, so what, not we, but the basketball community at this point, because it's just like, oh, that's Westbrook and Westbrook. But I feel like some people push that narrative because it's like, okay, if you're getting those numbers, are you getting those numbers in the context to help your team win? And I only say that because we know there was definitely a time where players were just about their individual stats, trying to be MVP like and all those type of things. And it was just like, is it making your team better? Are you actually contributing to your team winning? So I always say context matters. However, you made a very valid point. So let's talk about this season. Right now, Westbrook is averaging 22 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and 11 assists per game. I think this is his fourth time, and if correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, fourth time this man is averaging a triple double. And the other night he went for 14 points, but he had like 24 rebounds, 22 assists, something like 2020 in rebounds and assists.
Yeah, he had
And
21 and 24.
thank you, 21, 24. I stand corrected. But let's talk about that. And I want your opinion, and then I'll give you mine. Because the whole reason for us to even do this was because I was just like, yo, I'm not the biggest Westbrook fan, but what he's doing is pretty damn impressive. And I just felt like people weren't as impressed as they should be. I felt like people were just like, so what? Westbrook got another triple double. What's the big deal? No, 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 no. He got a triple double, and he did a triple double with he had the 24 and 21, which has only been done in NBA history by one other player, which is Wilt. And nobody was giving him, I mean, people were giving his flowers, but people were just acting like that wasn't a big deal. And I feel like this generation is just so caught up in not really appreciating players, just so quick to want to like talk down on players, that people not even seeing how damn amazing this feat is. Like, that's crazy. And I think, wasn't it him who did it before, where he had like 20 20 20 or something like that?
Yeah. After Nip got killed, he went
Yeah.
and got a 20-20-20 game. I think he had like 21 in there, but he just, I mean, there's so many things that kind of factor into why we overlook him. A lot of it's media driven. A lot of it is, well, you don't win, so you suck. If you don't win a championship, you know, second place. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's yeah. I would guess that would apply to all the Laker fan base who pushes that narrative harder than anybody. But there still are what 430 other players in the league that are really really good, and I think we tend to overlook those players. We don't talk about them as much because it doesn't fit quick soundbite narratives. It's not something you can get in 30 seconds. You got to pay attention to be able to really appreciate what's happening. And he also doesn't necessarily play in big stages. Like he's not, you know, he don't play for the Lakers. He don't play for the Knicks. He doesn't play for teams like that. And I'm not big on the small market thing because you could just look on Twitter and see what's going on. You can see pretty much everywhere like, oh wow, here's a quick recap, or even if you just look at box scores. I'm like, man, if I was looking at just box scores every night, or if I play fantasy anything and I notice every night I'm losing because somebody got Russell Westbrook and this dude's putting up these ridiculous numbers, at some point I'm like, wait, what's going on? And to have done it, uh, 4 seasons is this is it's asinine. I think there's that element of it where people are like, well, he doesn't win, so it doesn't. There's the
Mm.
element, the narrative that, oh, he's doing it selfishly, which those anybody who says that just don't know how to play basketball. I would bet however much pocket that they can't beat me because you don't know the first things about basketball if you think you're getting selfish rebounds and selfish assists. As a 6'3", this man is 6'4". Westbrook is like 6'4" on a good day,
Six
and you
three.
telling me, yeah, okay, 6'3", and he's getting selfish rebounds. He's getting
Clearly.
selfish, and the other thing is, I think people don't realize how hard it is to tally one assist, let alone 20 or at least double digit assists. So many things have to go right for you to get an assist. You can't get an assist. It's the hardest thing in the game. So to average double digit assists is a feat unto itself. It just doesn't really happen.
Because you have to depend on the players have to make baskets for you to get that assist. You can't control
Exactly.
that aspect. You can only try to get them in a best position, of course, to provide them the ability. But you're right. But continue.
So you know the game so well that you know you knowing what you're good at, what your opponent wants to allow you to do, doesn't want to give up, and then you also know what your teammates are good at and in the best position to put them in, and then what your opponent will allow them to. That's you're thinking for 10 people at all times, and you're doing this steadily for over the course of 5 seasons. Like it's insanity to think that somebody can do that. And then the winning narrative is obviously, take Westbrook off of these teams, and they don't do this. Those Thunder teams are not good. This Wizards team is only now just becoming good. I've been screaming they're gonna make the play in and make somebody life hell all season, and here we are. Um, Westbrook is a phenomenal talent that we just don't really appreciate. I think we got. I think he just. There's a number of reasons he got overlooked too. I mean, cause Derrick Rose was doing a lot of the same athletic stuff. He wasn't putting up the numbers. Um, but when people think of athletic point guards, it's always Derrick. You know, and Westbrook also has a certain attitude that I think people don't like
Mm.
in the media, which I love it.
Well,
I
okay,
love
let's stop you real quick right there because do you think and I personally think that that plays a narrative into the reason why he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And I say this a lot. I've said this even about past players because the media thinks that you're supposed to kind of kiss their ass in pardon my language, but I feel like they think that you're supposed to kiss their booty um and play like they're more important than the actual players, and then they push the narrative that they so choose. They push the narrative that he's difficult, he's this, he's that, and then of course when you're talking about fanfare, now you don't have fans who actually are sometimes watching the games. They're watching highlights and pretending they know about the game. You have some of the most biggest um people with platforms who don't actually watch the games. They don't watch the games. They're watching highlights. They're actually watching other commentators speak on it. And then they give a whole article or a whole um, take on it where it's like, what was you watching? And let me say, for an example, the example was that recently um, Stephen A. Smith got caught doing this. He said that a player on the Wizards who hadn't played since January because he's hurt was having one of the best seasons. Just talking. And he was trying to take away from Westbrook. And it was funny because one of their writers were like, this is how you know he's not watching games because this player's been out since January. And I was laughing, like it was Thomas Bryant, I believe.
it. Hmm.
And it was like he had a whole, well, it was because this, and it was like he ain't played since January. It's May. So
Well, but ESPN has notoriously been horrible with the NBA. They don't have any
Oh yeah.
real but away from even that,
Mhm.
I don't think these guys can cover all this. I think that they push almost like radio. Like, we want you to fall in love with the personality. The athletes are interchangeable. The personalities that we offer on our platform are who we want you to care about. So we want you to care about Stephen A. and whoever he's talking about is secondary. Um, it's it's a way to maintain an audience. You find relatability with certain guys, so whatever they say becomes gospel. Nick Wright has a following. Um, I know it's hard to believe, but what's the Shannon Sharp and the other guy? Um,
That don't know basketball, but carry on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, these guys,
Skip
like, it's
Bayless.
Skip. That's it. Skip, Skip. It's so, like, it's it's obvious that everybody shouldn't be talking about it, but they're on TV, so they must know what they're talking about. And it's obvious they can't watch it all. One of my favorite things, I love watching Inside the NBA because it's almost too real. Like, Shaq and Charles Barkley get paid to watch basketball and comment on it, and they show up unprepared every single week. Every single week,
It's
they
true.
they
It's
pull up, they pull up, and you see a highlight, and you hear, "Damn, who we play for?"
true. So
Like, which at this point, it really is kind of a slap in the face. Like, dog, you don't gotta even, like, you ain't seen no highlights of this dude. You ain't know nothing. You ain't seen no tape. You ain't watched no nothing. Nobody that, like, you just now seeing him for the first time. He was drafted in the first round. Damn. But they're unapologetic about it. Like, there is a lot going on, and they still have their own lives and care. They seem to care more about the Final Four than they care about the NBA until playoffs come around. When the playoffs come around, that and their shows are incredible when it's playoff time. I don't miss Inside the NBA during the playoffs. I just don't. Um,
it's great content. I mean, to me, they're one
it's,
of the
it's
best. So, but
it's phenomenal content, but I mean, they have their own problematic things. But, like, as far watch Sports Center, claim to be a sports fan, so you have something to talk about at work. And I mean, there's what you talk about around the water cooler, the theoretical water cooler, and
but right now people ain't working, so it's even worse.
and so you have nothing to do, and you don't know who any of these people are, and it's just so glaringly obvious. Like, because these are not small paychecks that people are getting to know this, and so there are people, and I love to see people starting their own platforms and doing it on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or all these different places where people are, like, Twitch,
Podcast.
podcasting, and people are doing everything they can to be like, yo, I'm out here too, and I know what I'm talking about, and I could have an impact just like that person, and actually be more and do more for people. There are people who do all they concentrated is fantasy numbers, and there's
So
a
I have a
huge.
question. Oh,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. No. Because I was gonna say, because just going back to our original point. I mean, you said it's hard for them to cover it all. So, like, do you think now that it's more driven for just like the reactionary of it and the clickbaits and things of that nature? Because some of the stuff is just really off base. Like, some of it is just really off base from anything that's going on. It's just like, and it's going to segue into our next conversation, which is about the, MVP race. I'm just saying, like, do you think when they're pushing these narratives, is it to try to get at the player, or is it just more or less just to try to keep themselves relevant and, to continue to be that face, that voice, and things of that nature? Do you get what I'm trying to ask you?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like it's to keep themselves relevant. Period. Because, again, the players are interchangeable. Eventually, LeBron James is going to retire. Eventually, LeBron James isn't going to be playing basketball anymore, and a lot of people are going to be out of jobs. What is Brian Windhurst going to do when there's no more LeBron James? What is Skip Bayless going to run on when there's no LeBron? What is Shannon Sharp going to talk about when there's no LeBron? What is Nick Wright going to do? Holy, like, Nick Wright has no career without LeBron. Like, he has nothing to talk about. I'm just now seeing Nick Wright start this. He actually talked about Chris Paul being MVP, and I was like, damn, he must have studied some tape for this one. I've never heard a Nick Wright take that wasn't about LeBron James. It just, and same thing with Shannon Sharp. They
Yeah,
don't
and
talk
it's like,
about anything.
and it's not, and then that's another thing we were talking about, because that's annoying too, when you don't even know the game, the depths of the players. You don't know a lot about other players, so you're just falsely pushing all these. And we always talk about this. How LeBron fandoms are like, he played the most consecutive games and made 10 points in a row, like these crazy stupid stats that no
The
one
made up
cares
stuff.
about. Yeah, and it's not a knock against LeBron, because of course now he's a Laker, reformed Laker.
Knock him prior, but no. I just feel like you're missing out on a lot of really good basketball if that's all you care about.
hmm But so I guess the point we were making, and Wes is way better at this than me, is just that we're saying, you know, you shouldn't define these players' careers just by their favoritisms of people, such as like LeBron, where you have his just complete fanboys, as I call them. And then the original point was about Westbrook. Like, a lot of people do push that narrative that Westbrook has this attitude, this chip on his shoulder. He doesn't deserve it. So the media gets in there and he's doing these crazy things. And like, I think that the media was still driven by LeBron saying whoever came up with the play-in, pardon me, should be fired. And Westbrook goes 24, 21, and 14. Like, but that's nice. That's nice. But did you hear what LeBron said?
Right.
LeBron,
I,
mind you, isn't playing, but that's where the narrative was. The point I'm making is that what we're trying to say is like, sometimes you think like Westbrook is being arrogant because he's saying, y'all don't have to, y'all gonna realize like the type of player I am and things like that and everything. And it's true. Basically, give him his flowers now. And then when LeBron said the same thing last year at the end of the winning the 2020 championship for my Lakers, just so y'all know, Lakers are champs. But when he was
enough
like, I want
alone.
my damn respect, um, everybody thought that was, people had
Well,
mixed reviews.
my review is who disrespected LeBron James prior to that?
Nah,
Like,
no. You know what it was coming from. No, that stemmed from people calling him washed. That stemmed from people saying like, come on, LeBron ring chasing and, all that type of different stuff. I feel like LeBron hears all the narratives. So the people who don't like him will definitely point out LeBron's faults. I think LeBron don't like to hear that because he does. LeBron is Mr. I want to be liked. I want to be likable. So it I think it's like almost, how could you not like me?
so LeBron has been around for such a long time. He's had time to evolve. Like all of our favorite three players of our lifetimes are, just in general, is Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. And the one thing they have in common is that they kind of evolved over time because they played for for quite some time. You have the evolution of Jordan was he was Bulls 23, you got 45 back to 23, and then you have Wizards Jordan. And with Kobe, you have um, number 8 half the time, and then number 24 Mamba mentality. Like you have those iterations. And with LeBron, we really don't define it like that, but LeBron has played so long that he's gone through different movements. And my favorite LeBron is actually Hedo's LeBron when he embraced his inner villain and didn't care. I think the greatest LeBron James is the one who lost to Dallas and sat up on the podium and said, "Y'all niggas still bro."
And here's where I insert that clip. Go ahead.
Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, um, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems they had today.
That's that is my favorite Bron because that's
Don't say it,
it was honest, and it was, and again, it was
No,
indicative.
Wesley, stop. You got to say it. Say what LeBron said
No,
or
I
what
mean,
he
but
insinuated. Just
it was indicative of everything it was coming from. He was lashing out in the moment, like, "Yo, y'all have so much to say. Y'all can't do what I do. I'm sick of hearing y'all down talk me. I'm out here. I am the best player in the world. You can't even have a career without me. Your career exists to talk shit about me, and I'm gonna go home and still be LeBron James, and y'all still gonna wake up being y'all broke asses
with y'all
tomorrow."
broke ass.
And it was so needed in that moment at that time. And I think it changed LeBron. I truly believe that's the moment. If we go through all the stuff, you can say what you want to me without knowing him personally. I would if I had one question to ask him, I would say, what is the defining moment where you decided that you were going to be you and stop worrying about what everybody thought? And I would bet the house he'll say that was the moment.
Everybody was questioning themselves too, like, I ain't me.
Had a lot of people when they woke up the next morning was reevaluating their life options. They was like, how much do I like this job? Should I?
And
A
then those people
lot of
just had to
people.
really look at themselves like, I am spending a lot of time hating on this man.
Mhm.
Maybe
Oh,
I need to.
it was a lot of introspection that night.
Definitely. So let's segue into the next topic, which is the MVP race. The MVP race this year has been, to me, the craziest race, the craziest topic. No one can really give me definitive answers of why they picked their choice. Right now, for the longest moment, Jokic he's the MVP. And he simply got it by default of, yes, he's playing great ball. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he just ain't got injured. And to me, that's not enough. Because this season has been really crazy. So of course we know a lot of players either were injured at points in times playing the MVP type ball, or they were had to go out for a little bit. And so it was just like, oh, okay, who's got the best numbers and play most of the season? What is your take on it? Because now people are saying CP3, Chris Paul. And the reason for people saying Chris Paul is because Chris Paul has suddenly taken the Phoenix Suns who almost made it last year, but just couldn't get over that hump, to being the number one team.
MVP traditionally, when they ask you about how you vote and how voters vote or whatever, because white men don't tell you how they vote for a reason. And when they have to justify how they vote, you hear stuff like, "Oh, I just picked best player on the best team." However, recently that hasn't been the case. Now, there's usually some prevailing narrative if there isn't best player on best team. So the best player on the best team this year has gone through injury, no matter who or they're not the clear cut best player on the best team. So for the longest time, the Jazz were in the lead. It was like, well, who do we pick off that team? Because they all kind of do something. It's not really a clear cut best player on that team, which I understand.
At one
Um,
point, they were trying to push the Donovan Mitchell narrative.
then he got hurt too.
Yeah.
So it's kind
But
of
I
a.
still wasn't sold on Donovan. But continue on.
I
Sorry.
mean, either. I don't think Donovan Mitchell makes that team go more than other players, but that's here nor there. I think the next, if you go to the other conference, you go to the East, the best player on the best team is Joel Embiid. And for years, even if you weren't, the best team in the league, being best in your conference was good enough to win MVP. LeBron benefited from that at least 3 times. So to change the narrative now to, well, you guys are getting hurt, so you weren't really the best player on the best team for an extended period of time. So that's what it's been added to that. Um, if we're going to add that in, then I think we've got to consider who the best player is on the best team who actually hasn't missed extended period of time, and that's Chris Paul. I mean, people may not like it. Like, they've been using that argument to say why it's Jokic, because Jokic is clearly the best player on the Nuggets, but they're not the best team. They're not even close to being the best team. The Nuggets aren't that damn close from being in the play-in game, or that far from being in the play-in game. I don't know.
The Nuggets are actually number 3, sweetie.
Yeah, but that's not being in the play-in game right now. Like, you lose 3 games in a row, you could be in that play-in. It's
Well, thankfully the Lakers are suffering so bad in the next team. Just so you know, the next few teams are it's a 6-game difference. That's all I'm giving you some context. But go ahead.
there's 6 games left, right?
Yes.
Let me pull this up. I could be, maybe I'm thinking about last week. You could be right.
No, it is. Nuggets are 3 right now in our division, tied with the Clippers, but they have the edge. What do you call it?
The tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't think of that. But no, at the same token, I still get what your sentiments are. Like, they've actually clinched their playoff spot.
I want to say this about Jokic. Jokic is hooping at a level that I don't think anybody thought possible.
No, let me give you his numbers. He is 26 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and 8 assists per game.
And I would match that against Joel Embiid, and then I would factor in that the 76ers look like they're going to be the number 1 seed virtually no matter what happens.
Joel Embiid matching numbers, just so you know, which is even better, which is 29, 11 rebounds per game, and his assists isn't much, but I feel like he's a true center. And then he also was injured and out for a while.
And so, thank you for that. But so with that, I would say that typically the award goes to that player. Now, it's a shortened season, so that's kind of penalizing them, because it's like, well, you missed 18 games and the season was already short, so you didn't play that long. And in an 82-game season, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe he plays the rest of these games and he's the clear-cut MVP. But this narrative got all of a sudden, they're like, well, you got to play X amount. Well, what's the number? No one wants to say the number. They don't want to say you got to play 50 games, you got to play 60 games. No one's saying, they're just saying, well, they missed time, so they're out. Well, if we're doing that, then Giannis deserves serious consideration too. Well, Giannis missed an extended period of time. So it just keeps going back to, well, that's why it's got to be Jokic. And I'm saying you're going really far out of your way to overlook Chris Paul, because when the conversation came about All-Star, these same votes, now these are the same voter, well, not all of them, but they're similar voters. Coaches vote for All-Star. No, scratch that. Coaches vote for All-Star and media votes for MVP. But I should say similar mindsets. And all right, well, this is who we're gonna pick this time. We're gonna pick Chris Paul. And I remember a lot of people were like, man, that's nuts. Even LeBron came out and said Devin Booker is the most disrespected superstar in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
After that. And then Book wound up getting chosen as a sub reserve. I forgot who got hurt, but Book took their spot. Oh, AD. AD got hurt. Book took his spot. So, but the person who was chosen was actually Chris Paul. So by that logic, that would mean Chris Paul is the best player on the actual literal number 1 team in the NBA right now. Looking at it now, I'm like, well, damn, they never did give Chris Paul his MVP that he was owed from there. This would be a pretty solid time for all of the things, because before LeBron got hurt, the narrative was that he was the MVP because he's 36, right? I'm 36, and Chris Paul's the same age, and Chris Paul's doing all this.
Here's the point. Here's the thing, though. This is where, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I apologize, but this is the thing that is the narrative, and I seen the dialogue yesterday. Everyone's saying Chris Paul cannot be the MVP because Chris Paul is not even the best player on their team.
But that's not what the coaches said when it was time for All-Star voting.
Wait. Listen, I am not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying, let's do the numbers. Devin Booker, and I know it's more than numbers, it's context, so we're going to get into that too. Devin Booker, 26 points per game, 4 rebounds, and almost 5 assists per game. Chris Paul, 16 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. Now, if you look at it from that standpoint, which most NBA fans are going to look at, right? They're looking at that and they're saying, clear shot. Devin Booker is the best player on that team. Am I wrong? Am I right? So what I'm saying is, Mr. West, explain to us where you're coming from in the sense of why you feel that Chris Paul should get it. Because the majority of NBA fans, their argument with it is, how can Chris Paul be considered the MVP when he's not even considered the best player on the Suns?
So I would think, and again, this is strictly coming from, well, they owe him one. And the fact that he's number one seed right now, and that's the largest turnaround. I don't know if that's the largest turnaround in NBA history, but that's a hell of a turnaround from where they were win-loss last season to win-loss this season. He also did the same thing with the Thunder the season prior.
Yeah, he
We
kept a
use
team
a
that
lot.
they said nobody, they counted them out. But I do want to just put this in here and remind you, though, the Suns, they were a perfect team in the bubble. They were
Yeah,
already,
they were already gelling.
they were
They were
peaking.
gelling.
So
They were
yeah,
gelling. They
okay.
were
So I just
coming
want to
together.
put that out there too.
But Chris Paul, and this is why it's like, well, what's the difference? The Suns without Chris Paul were probably a playoff team. Now they're the number one seed in the West. Who had Phoenix being number one this year?
Nobody.
And
But
so with that, and with that, I think there's some weight there. And I know that this is not. It goes
yeah,
against the numbers don't hold. If you vote for Chris Paul for MVP, has there ever been another MVP that only averaged 16 points a game? I don't think so. I mean, there could have been, but I'm going to guess no. But has there been one that's impactful? Now, that's something, I don't know. Chris Paul's had a hell of an impact on this team to the point of them being the number one seed in the West. I
yet
don't
people
know,
are
again.
arguing, Wes, people are arguing, is that really true? When you had a team who literally was perfect in the bubble, but they just weren't, they finally gelled then. And now
With Chris Paul. With Chris Paul, I mean, if you look, his clutch rating is stupid. Chris's clutch rating is like, it's either number one or number two in the NBA, where every time, and Phoenix has won more close games than anybody. It's just when the game comes down to it, even though Book is the guy, Chris Paul has been the guy. He's been the dude, like, since he's been there, like, all right, let's win this game. And he puts them over the top. I don't think anyone would argue that. I just think that it comes down to, like, well, it's not a sexy pick. It's just not. It's Chris Paul. Like, all the stuff you can say about LeBron. Oh, well, he's 36, and we didn't think he could do this. You can say all those same things about Chris Paul, and they got a
well,
better record.
are you serious though? Because
Yeah.
and the reason why I say that is because look at what happened to the Lakers when the difference in the Lakers team versus when LeBron was playing and when LeBron went down. I think the context is way different. Plus, LeBron was doing much more. And LeBron numbers were there still too. And I do agree with you what you're saying as far as Chris. I'm not disagreeing completely. I just do not believe he's MVP. But my reasoning is because I don't believe he's the best player on their team. I believe he is impactful. I believe he is a leader. I believe he's the one that has been able to change probably the dynamics, even make Devin Booker better. But I do believe Booker is the reason the Suns are where they're at. And everything you're saying, I definitely agree with, because this was reasonings before when they had, like, it depends on what the media wants at any given year of how they're going to choose their MVP candidate. Anyways, when we know that changes each and every time. I just don't personally think Chris Paul is going to get the MVP, and I don't think he necessarily
Oh,
does.
I don't think he will either. But I
Yeah,
think
I know.
that I think that if you what I want is equity. I want 1-to-1. I want, if you're gonna make this argument for LeBron, and make the argument for Chris Paul.
It
You
was
don't want to make the part.
completely
You don't want to,
different.
but
Come
it's
on.
really not though. So even
Before
let's
LeBron
do this.
James,
They were not the one seed. They
we
weren't.
weren't the one seed. We were like number 2 or 3 though.
But
We
but
wait.
the point is that
But
the
point
point is.
is, LeBron was averaging 25 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists.
Mhm.
LeBron was leading a team that needed LeBron. And
Right.
when LeBron went down, that team was number 2 to 3. I can't remember exactly. And once LeBron went down, the Lakers are now in a 7 spot looking in a play-in game.
Right. But
You can,
when the most valuable player isn't the most valuable player of a team, it's the most valuable player of the league. So just because the Lakers suck without LeBron doesn't
hold
mean
on, but how can you say that when again then okay, let's talk about that then. You're saying the most valuable player of the league. Isn't that in context of for their team?
it does matter for their team, but I don't think it should be everything. See, this is the thing about MVP. It's all subjective. Like there's no point where you can say these are the rules. My argument with it is that I shouldn't even
But
say argument.
how do you pick Chris Paul though?
It's even again, we're going back to like if we're gonna keep everything equal, if you're gonna just throw out everything that happened in the beginning of the season and act like people weren't saying LeBron should be the MVP this year, he's definitely going to get MVP. Oh, he got hurt, so he can't be MVP. I'm saying Chris Paul is right here too. He's been doing this, and he's done it at a level. Well, okay, statistically, he has not matched LeBron's numbers, but they're the number one seed in the West, and he's played that. You don't have the injury thing you can hold against Chris Paul. Called his ass off at 36 and made a team and way better than they were before and without him.
But they
So
were not that bad in the sense of they
they would
were
have been an
actually.
eight. Been an eight.
Yo, no, they wouldn't have. I disagree. I'm sorry. I don't. I think everybody, and this is just my take. I
Are you
disagree.
talking about
I
this year or
remember.
last year?
I'm talking about last year
Last year they
and
would have been an
coming
eight.
into the shush. That's not what I mean. I know that. I'm talking. Well, you didn't let me finish. I'm speaking in the sense that I'm saying everybody knew Phoenix has been rising. Everybody knew that they were gonna click. I remember even last year saying, I said this. I tweeted this. I said people sleeping on Phoenix, but once the Suns get everything clicking, this team is going to be a problem because guess what? Devin Booker is a problem.
If we're doing talent evaluation in the NBA and or if we're just making picks or we're looking at any ranking of any kind whatsoever, are you telling me that you're taking because if let's just say hypothetically that Chris Paul somehow is the best player on the Phoenix Suns. Okay, let's just say that. So
Mm-hmm.
then the clear cut number two best player on the Phoenix Suns is obviously Devin Booker, right? Without question, even though Devin Booker is really the best player. But okay, which I agree with.
I'm sorry. That's
I
what I
believe that.
agree with.
No,
Okay,
no, he's
good.
the best player. But so 1-2, okay. Um, on the Lakers, the number one best player is who?
If you want me to be completely honest,
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard thing to choose because I know people want me to say LeBron because LeBron is great, but a healthy AD is right there with LeBron. Like,
Okay, regardless, are you picking Devin Booker over either LeBron James or Anthony Davis?
no.
So minus LeBron.
And I ain't picking Chris Paul neither.
But what I'm saying is
Or,
minus
sorry.
minus LeBron, even with AD, this Lakers team has not been good. Their record is trash. Minus Chris Paul, the Suns are like an 8 seed. The Suns are like an 8 seed. That's where they were. That's where they were gonna be. That's what
No,
you.
that's not true. I
It's
disagree. I'm sorry. I do not agree with you there. And the reason why I'm saying it is because this was a team that was actually trending up even prior to him. Now, I'm not saying, now, granted, I will give you this. I would have not thought that they could have been number one. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you there. What I'm saying is that this was a team that was already trending up. They were getting their shit together. So for me, the reason why I disagree with that is because, yes, I think Chris Paul definitely made them better. Definitely has catapulted him to number one in a sense. I think that even let's take Chris Paul away from this Suns team. My personal thing is I feel like the Suns would have been a 4 to 5 seed. I really feel like, especially everything that's gone on this year, I still think I would have seen them because they really actually, the Jazz, the Suns, and all of them benefited from also, again, going back into the context of it, of an injured LeBron and AD. If you give me a healthy AD and LeBron, I'm sorry, the Lakers were not, they started off winning. People forget for a minute we were easily the number one because we had all of our players were healthy. We had no effects of COVID in anything. The Suns were smart because they got a vet player in, smart player in Chris Paul. And I'm not taking away from the fact that, yes, he made them better, but he is not the best player on their team. So I don't see how he could be deserving of the MVP. That's just my take. I am not saying that Chris Paul hasn't gone to teams and made them better, even when he was counted out, because he's done that. But that to me is not personally, that's not my personal pick of MVP. I'm with you. If I look at certain things right now, no one's even wanting to give Giannis they don't want to, nobody's even talk about Giannis being an MVP. He's basically getting, you can't be MVP because you've been MVP twice. And he's even playing. I don't even know if people notice. His numbers is actually better. He's actually better.
That's why it's ridiculous.
Better.
The whole thing is about narrative and perception, which is why the argument is what it literally why I'm saying this. If we're gonna do narratives and perception and get away from what everybody always claims, the safe base for everyone has always been, well, I just chose best player on best team. We know they're not doing that. It means Giannis is out. So no matter what he does, even though he's been playing better, and the Bucks are a 3, they've eliminated because of injury. The real, to me, who would be the actual MVP was Joel Embiid. They've just, well, he didn't play enough. I feel like that's messed up. Like, damn, okay. So my argument then becomes, well, then the best player on the best team, according to the coaches, is Chris Paul, because that's who they voted in the All-Star game from the Phoenix Suns, and they're the number 1 seed. That's where this is coming from. And he's 36, and you could throw in all the LeBron narratives that were running, that were popular when LeBron was healthy. So by those standards, by those arguments, is flipping an argument that is a typical one. Do I believe the MVP should be, if you just looking at who does what and what's happening this year, I think the best season has been Embiid.
Yeah.
But
my MVP is still the same person. Because he came back and he still made them, like, he came back and still doing work. And that's Joel Embiid. That's my pick. That's my clear pick. Over Jokic.
Well, I agree. Sorry, I agree. But I just, again.
No, you're saying the narrative. They're going to play the narratives because, one, I mean, let's stop sugarcoating it. One, the media is full of a bunch of white men who have never played ball. So the fact of the matter is that, like you said, they started off the season trying to push the whole, this is Luka's year. They want Luka to be so great that they're going to push content for Luka no matter what. Like, Luka did this, Luka. And I'm not saying Luka's not great. I'm not taking anything away from Luka. But again, they're trying to get their great white hope of a player like a Luka to say, look, we have one finally. They want Luka to be the face regardless, because guess what? How many faces of NBA over the past few years, besides only when you talk about NBA and the great players and great past players, the only person they can point to is Larry Bird. White people only got Larry Bird.
They were they won't let you forget that Dirk year either.
Yeah, and Dirk, no, okay,
that Dirk year. But I'm gonna say this too. That Dirk year was hella fire.
No, and then here's the thing. I like Dirk. I love Dirk actually, and he married a black woman. That's just.
I know it's your style.
Hey, Dirk is the man.
I knew when Dirk was walking into the arena, everybody was coming in because this was after the dress code. Everybody had their button up, so and Dirk came in with aluminum foil wrap plate. I knew right then. I said, I don't even gotta look. I don't even gotta look. And then they got married. They had a traditional African wedding and all that. I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
Man, listen. Everybody and their mama who was black knew he was married to a black woman at that moment. Because let me tell you what we gonna give you. Here's your plate and your foil. And anybody knows white women give you the
Oh
Tupperware.
man,
Here's your
I
Tupperware.
remember. I remember the theme music and everything. Played Dirk just walking, just strolling in with his da da da. I was laughing like, wow, where you get that from? Home, home. That was. I don't even remember how.
This is completely joking, but in all seriousness, I definitely think Dirk, they definitely give Dirk that credit. But what I'm just saying is like that one clear cut, like you can't debate it. That's where they want Luka to be.
Oh yeah,
And
without question.
and so what I'm saying with that, yes, Jokic is doing well enough to say, hey, let's get this white MVP.
Well,
Like,
the same thing with the reason they love like a Luca. Luca is not. I don't think Luca even has muscle definition.
no,
Like,
he's really not. It's just the most weird, but that's just white men.
but he's cold though. The dude is so cold. And the one
Yeah.
thing about Luca is he's big as hell. People don't realize how big that dude is. Like, you look at like he's so cute, and Luca's huge. He's big. Like, one thing I noticed last year is he's bigger than every big man the Clippers had last year, not this year, except for Zubac. They want a person who reminds them of themselves so they can do well, and they want to see that person. It's like, yeah, like that's their vicarious pick. So Jokic winning MVP is the dominating narrative, even though it's an MVP by default. Uh, Now I would not say that in this last week. In this last week, Jokic has been doing, oh my God. I
But I think that's the whole thing. Like, we're not knocking Jokic. We're not
Not at
saying
all.
that. It's
Not at all.
and I think like because there's gonna be some people who are like, oh, you're not doing. No, no one's
Mm,
knocking Jokic. No one's
no.
knocking any of these players. It's just like you said, the narrative. Basically, whatever they choose when they choose the MVP, to me, the narrative switches up every year. Like you said, the context of it is whatever they choose. I mean, I do think personally, Giannis was the MVP last year. That was my pick too. And I wasn't mad about that. I was upset about the defensive player of the year because, of course, I thought AD deserved it. And it's not because of just being biased. It's simply because, like, just the effectiveness of what he did as far as the Lakers. And you've seen that throughout the season. And then you've seen it even in the playoffs versus what you've seen Giannis do. Giannis still to this day, great defensive player, but he's not necessarily quick to guard your best player. Or the best big man player on that team. Sometimes he shies away from it. I'm not saying every time, but sometimes he does. And I think that's kind of where some people are at with Giannis. And I mean, people are asking that right now. At the end of the day, I think that the Chris Paul narrative is what I think people. It would be a really good storyline, sentimental reasons behind it, but I still couldn't see people actually putting the
Oh,
vote.
no, it's gonna be
Um,
Jokic. It's
yeah,
gonna be
but
Jokic without question.
and again, I still don't think it's Jokic personally. I still would choose Embiid because, like I said, he didn't miss that much. He didn't miss that much to me where you take it away from him because, like, and the reason why I know this is going to end up being in question is LaMelo did so well, right?
Mm-hmm.
LaMelo Ball did so well those first few months, and he missed what about a month and a week or so, give or take. And LaMelo Ball was still everybody's clear favorite to be the rookie of the year. It was like, I don't care if he don't play the rest of the season. He's played better than all of them. And then we know if he would have continued the season on, he was going to be the best player. Like, there's not an if, ands, and buts about it. Now, granted, I'm not even taking away from anything from Anthony Edwards because he's been balling out. I think he had like 55 last night or something of that nature, 52. I could be wrong. Regardless, he just played phenomenal. He's
Anthony
been playing. Yeah,
50.
he's been playing for the Wolves.
Hold on. Let me see. I know he's been hooping, but God, oh,
Yeah, he balled out. But here's the
how did I
difference.
miss
The
that?
narrative is that people want to say he's a rookie of the year. No, let me tell you why he's not the rookie of the year. His team record. I don't care what you put up if your team's not winning. In the sense of like the Wolves have not gotten too much better. And the Wolves have a decent team when you really look at the fact that they have good players. I don't want to say the whole team.
You know, they have Cat, they have D'Lo, they have Anthony Edwards, he would be the clear favorite if there was not a LaMelo Ball. The difference with LaMelo Ball to me, and I'm not saying it's not, it's difference is that, and I did a whole video on this.
His career high is 42. Keep going.
Huh?
Anthony Edwards, his career high is 42. I had to look. I was like,
oh, okay.
I thought I heard
yeah,
him.
I something. I'm sorry, I said 52, but I was
maybe he might have played 52 minutes, but regardless, I got you. He is going crazy though. I'm not taking.
Yeah, but I'm saying people want to say he's rookie of the year, and I feel like those are the people who just don't want somebody good to get their credit. Like, you cannot take away from what LaMelo does, and then LaMelo came back and still was very effective. LaMelo was.
Go
ahead.
I also look at odds too. I look at Vegas because Vegas don't give away no money. That's a so when I look at it, when LaMelo came back, the odds immediately went back to favoring LaMelo for rookie of the year. And I'm just curious as to how the thought process can be that way. I mean, again, and I know the answer. The answer, LaMelo Ball is the rookie of the year, which is basically MVP of rookies.
Yeah.
Because even though he missed a significant amount of time, he's back, and the throne is rightfully his. But when it comes to Embiid, it's like, nah, I don't know. You were hurt for a significant amount of time, and this other guy's been hooping really well. Well, you could say that about Anthony Edwards, but look at Anthony Edwards. They're gonna say, well, yeah, team record doesn't really. I mean, when you're a rookie of the year, they don't factor in team record that hard because it's your rookie of the year. You're supposed to be on a trash team. So I don't know when you do
a comparison
proportion. Yeah, you do a proportional thing. I was thinking of the equation setup where you have it and it's 1-to-1, and you look and you see, okay, Anthony Edwards is to Nikola Jokic, and you look and be like, well, what's the difference here? You'd be like, oh, I think I see what the difference is right here. And it's the same thing with, LaMelo and Embiid. Like, clearly we know who was the best player in this, or the MVP of the rookies, just like the MVP of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're going to
But the thing about it is, and just to not cut you off, LaMelo was still leading in most of the rookies categories.
Yeah, but Anthony Edwards has been balling while he was like he's taking it to a different level. And I'm not, again, I think LaMelo is the rookie of the year.
But you say that, right? And you're right. And I'm not taking anything away from Anthony Edwards. But the thing about it is, coming off of injury, which wasn't a serious, but it was injured. He's still injured. LaMelo Ball came right back in and started balling. That's the difference of me of what I'm saying. LaMelo Ball came right back and posted numbers that he was posting prior to that.
Embiid came right back.
And again, this is my argument. I agree everything. This is not my argument. We're not arguing. I think we're both on the same page here for once, which is not always the case with us.
Wow.
We
People
both agree.
downtown sure are friendly.
You're welcome. No, but all honesty, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's going to be that exact argument is going to be, well, this and this and that. Yet the same people are going to vote LaMelo and say, well, he's still this. And I'm saying I agree completely with you. I'm just saying that's how it's just all about narratives, because, again, LaMelo went down, but people are still like, and again, I mean, don't get me wrong, LaMelo is still leading in most categories as a rookie, even with that timeout. And then when he comes back, he's like, I'm just getting back to business. Like, y'all niggas not taking, oops. You guys are not going to take my, you guys are not going to take my shine. But you ain't never convincing me that winning doesn't matter. The point is you're supposed to make people better. And then that flips it back into your point. That flips it back into your point into why Chris Paul.
Okay, as long as you know.
Yes, but again, and I'm going to stand on this mountaintop and say Chris Paul has done amazing, but he's not the best player on the Suns. So, Wesley, with that being said, thank you for your input, your valuable input. I'm going to just let y'all know we started this off by saying we're going to do 45 minutes. And we both knew we was gonna talk too much because we talk too much.
Mhm.
But at least we gave y'all good context and some good content. So we're stopping here. We're not going to talk about the Luka and Tatum thing. I think that'll be for another day. Hopefully, if I can convince him, Wesley will come back onto my little platform and give some input about that. Because I really want to get more people input, because people are, like I said, they've crowned Luka, but there's some things I just want to give a little context to, and I just want to see how people feel about
I might finally get my Lucas Just White Harden take off.
it. So you already see where we both are going right there, and it's basically gonna be.
They get so mad. They get so mad. It's not even a diss. It's not a diss. It's
It's
not a
not a diss, but it's a
diss
diss
at
when
all.
because they diss Harden. That's why it's a diss.
Mhm. It's not a diss song. It's a real song.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that actually. Oh, and by the way, he references everything to playlists or music because he knows everything you can know about. He can basically probably give you the lyrics of any song and just be like, "Hey, what's this lyric?" And he has it. Like, he's annoying like that. But
Uh, it's
appreciate it.
a talent,
It's a
maybe.
talent. It's
No
not a
skill. It's
talent.
a skill. Is it? It doesn't pay any money, so I don't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so I just want to say thank you again for coming on. And
Thank
I
you
just
for
want to
having
remind
me.
you're very welcome. I really do thank you coming on, because I know I'm not the most easiest person to debate with, because I'll be like, listen here, this is my opinion. Oh, wait, I got to let you have one too.
Mm.
But this has been fun. I'm going to wrap it up here. Please do not forget, because I'm going to be posting this on my YouTube as well. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe, you like, give me your feedback about what we were speaking on. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Hey, you got a man?
Bye, Wes.